Hello there. You are listening to the Light FM's Girl Talk podcast. My name is Carol.
This is Alicia.
I'm Tricia.
And we are back around the microphones today to tackle the the subject that we all feel disqualified to talk about, which is patience in the waiting. I will tell you, the other day, I had my girl and we were at the doctor's office. And, you know, the doctor's office is like a waiting room experiment. Like I'm a professional people watcher. I don't know if y'all know this about me or not, but I'm a professional people watcher. And sometimes, like Ella will say, "What are you thinking about?" or "What's going through your head?" And I'm like, "I'm just watching people." Yeah. But I'm sitting there watching. There are some people who are there for ever, which seems to be the case for us. We ever go to the doctor, we're there for a long time. There are people who are in and out. They just need some paperwork signed. And then there are people who are there for more extended times. And there are people who are there and they wait their time and then they're called back. You know, all sorts of people in a waiting room. And I think about that in life. And maybe you find yourself in a waiting room. You're like, when is this going to end? Like, I have been here forever. Can you please call my number, God, and get to my case? Because I feel like you're just totally ignoring me. You know, I had an appointment for 9:45 and it is 12:18. But, you know, all of us are at different stages in waiting. And one of the things that I never pray for, because I know better, is patience. Because if you pray for patience, then God will give you opportunities to be patient.
Well, I actually think that's interesting to pray for patience if you're if you're in a hard season and you're like, when is this going to end? When is this going to end? I don't know if I've prayed for patience to get through it, or if I've just always prayed, God, can you please end this? Can we get out of this season? I'm ready to be over.
I think it's Psalm 13, but I think it is. I'll have to look this up. But the psalmist says, "How long, Lord? How long? How long?"
Yeah.
And that's been the cry of my heart in lots of seasons of my life. Like, how long? If you could just, if God could say to me, "All right, this is going to be your struggle for this season of life, but on November the 42nd, you're going to be over it."
You'd be like, I'd have a little countdown page. I'd check it off every day.
36 days.
Yeah, I'm like, put a slash through it every day, and we could do that. But when we don't know.
You know, I did that when I was in grad school. I had a sheet, because I took classes every single Saturday, all day, every Saturday. And I had a sheet that had every Saturday listed. And at the end of every Saturday, I would check it off. And I would be like, and I got to the end, and I actually missed class. No, I didn't. Not like that. I missed when I graduated. I missed going to class. Like I missed the experience. So I feel like part of it is I kind of wanted to just blow through it.
Well,
and I there was an opportunity that I was clearly being told things about, and then I was like, oh yeah, I actually enjoyed that.
Well, I think that's where we need to live, and maybe that's where we need to camp out for a few minutes here, is that the waiting is very seldom about the point. We make it about the point that we're trying to get to, like the end of whatever. Yes. But the good stuff is what you learn in the waiting,
the
process. Yeah, and the journey. Exactly.
Yeah.
You know,
you may not like it, but at the end you're
no
like,
one likes it.
Oh, I see what I learned from that, or thank you that I experienced that, even though that may have been hard or difficult or challenging. There was something I got from it.
I can tell you, if somebody is listening to this podcast because they're waiting right now, they have totally turned it off. Because they're like, I am so rolling my eyes at you right now, because I'm the same way. Like, if I'm waiting for something and people like try to throw like pithy sayings at me about, oh, you know, God's really going to use this in your life. Well, I wish he'd use it today, because I mean, I know he is going to use it. I don't mean that, irreverently, but.
You think about it with your kids, like when you're in that newborn stage and you're not sleeping and you're exhausted and you just can't wait for them to sleep through the night.
Yeah.
And then they're toddling around and they're getting into stuff, and you can't wait until they can listen and communicate to you. And every stage you're kind of like waiting for the next stage. And then, but now that my kids are older, I look back and I see some of those sweet moments that only happen when they're at those stages.
Right.
And so I think we need to pay more attention to the good things that are happening while we are waiting.
Oh, wow. That's hitting me, because that's something I'm learning right now, because we've been waiting for my dad to get better.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Please get better. Please get stronger. But what has been beautiful are the days, it doesn't always happen, but the days that I can focus on the here and the now, in the moment, the interactions, the joy, the gift of that, the gift of the present. in the moment.
Like of spending time with him
of
and
spending
being,
time with him.
Yeah.
The memories that we're making while I'm waiting for this season to end.
Right.
I'm missing the gifts. I know you don't like the pithy sayings. I don't either, but I do like this one. Here's a pithy. Get ready. Buckle your seatbelt if you're
I'm going to write it down.
for it. Before God does something in our lives, it may be we're waiting because he wants to do something in our hearts first. So it's
That's
like,
not pithy, though.
but it's not pithy, but I love it because it helps me know how to pray.
Right.
So go ahead and teach me this thing,
Right.
God, please.
Hurry!
Yeah. I mean, can I have patience quickly?
Now.
But I want him to go ahead and teach me the thing that I need to learn so that I can move on.
Years ago, y'all know I love to write, and I wrote in my journal. I wrote this, and after I wrote it, I was like, I wanted to erase it because I didn't want it to be true, but that didn't make it any less true.
Oh yeah.
But I said, the waiting is never easy, but it's always worth it. Like, and
That's wise to write down while you're waiting.
yeah, that's why I wanted to erase it because I didn't want it to be true.
Yeah.
But I think it is true, and here's the other thing too. I think that if we can look at waiting as worthy time, because I think that we look at waiting. I mean, you think about what you have to wait on. My waiting time now that I hate is car line in the afternoon.
It seems unnecessary.
Not only unnecessary, it seems unbiblical. Because I'm going to tell you, people, I don't know if they're believers or not, but there are no believers in car line, at least not in the one I'm in. And I have this text message going with a girlfriend of mine who is also in car line. I'm like, I'm just trying to pick up my kid. I'm like, this is not hard. We just all get in line. We're all going to the same place. We're all doing the same thing. But we see the waiting as an inconvenience instead of a blessing.
So I have a car line story.
Okay.
Ooh.
So I actually really, really love car line.
We can no longer be friends.
Okay, so
I'm going to mediate.
So for years, I wasn't able to pick my kids up after school.
Okay.
Okay.
And so they would go to aftercare, and I'd pick them up at the end of the day after I got off. And I was always I was insanely jealous of the parents that were in car line picking their kids up, and they, and so when I get to pick my kids up now, I'm like, I love it. I love it.
Wow,
it turned it
Lish,
into this
that's
like,
good.
wow, I get to
I'm a
be
terrible
there.
person.
No, you're
And
not.
I'm not
No, you're
trying
not.
to make you feel bad for because it is. And I have two different schools, and one car line last year was a mess. It was a nightmare, and I did not enjoy it. Cars out to the road, and it took forever to get in. And they got much more organized this year, and so I can enjoy it again.
Good. Okay.
But I think sometimes it's that perspective of like, this can be a joyous.
It can be a gift.
Yeah.
What is the gift in the waiting? What if we ask ourselves that? What is the gift in the waiting? And there could be one. There is one. I'm confident of that. Okay, silly story. You remember Walkman?
Oh yeah.
The Walkman,
Absolutely.
and the cassette tapes. Loved that. I miss those because I had a favorite song. I always had a favorite song, and I couldn't wait for that favorite song to come on. And I would have to listen through a few songs that I didn't always love to get to my favorite song.
Right.
But when that favorite song came on, it's my favorite song,
Yeah.
But now we have CDs or on demand or Alexa play this. Skip. And so we miss out on the joy of the anticipation and the joy of the waiting. You know what I mean? I mean,
So
that's
true.
There were
silly, but
other songs that you needed to listen to, like that were.
this was 80s, so I don't
Duran
know.
Duran.
What was Simon telling me? No, just kidding.
Yes,
no,
there's
something you're
something
learning.
on the way to get to that one thing that God needs us to see or
Right.
do or feel.
Yeah.
And it's like
Yeah.
I think that's a great analogy.
Well, we mentioned Psalm 13. I pulled it up so that I could look at it, and there are a couple of things that are coming to my mind because the feeling of waiting is not a good one.
Yeah, no, it's
Feeling,
terrible.
right?
It's very unsettling to wait.
Yeah.
Because we want to get to a point, and Psalm 13. It was Psalm 13. That's what I said, wasn't it?
You did
Okay.
say
All right.
13.
So,
Very good.
thank you. Since I'm a terrible
You're friends
person, at
again.
least I can
Again, no.
remember where a scripture was. But Psalm 13 says, "How long, O Lord, will you forget me?" And I think that's so true because we feel like we're forgotten when we're waiting. Like,
Yes.
Do you see me over
Like,
here?
why?
Do you
Why
see-
me? Why am I waiting? Why?
Yeah.
You
why
must
is this-
not like me.
How long will you hide your face from me? And this is what happens. We look over at our friend and we see her not waiting, her getting what she wants or what she's prayed for, answer to her request. And why is it me? Why are you hiding your face from me? Here's another big one. How long must I wrestle with my thoughts? Those thoughts of being forgotten and being not favored or not loved. How long will I wrestle with my thoughts? And day after day have sorrow in my heart. You know, I've thought about things that I've had to wait on that just break my heart. Like, you're like, Lord, why wouldn't you answer this today? How long will my enemy triumph over me? If you've ever struggled with fear or anxiety in my life, that's been, you know, like the big bully in my life, and pointing his finger at me going, yeah, I'm winning. How long will I have to be defeated? Look on me and answer, Lord, my God. Give light to my eyes. You know, that's a big one. Give light to my eyes, because you tend to get to a place where it just feels dark in that waiting period, and there is no light.
Yep.
And then verse 5 and 6 kind of comes to the turning point where he says, I trust in your unfailing love. That's so hard to do when you're waiting. To trust in unfailing love, because honestly, we've all had failing love.
Yeah.
We really
This
don't
world.
experience unfailing love outside of Jesus in this world. My heart rejoices in your salvation, knowing that this. I think of the Lauren Daigle song "Rescue." I can't tell you the number of people who come to me and like, I needed to hear that song right at that moment, because it reminded me that God is going to send somebody to come get me, and He sent somebody in the person of Jesus to rescue me. I will sing the Lord's praise. How many times have you seen people singing in the doctor's waiting room? I never have. It doesn't happen. Just like you don't see people crying and eating pie at the same time. It doesn't happen. But this says, I will sing the Lord's praise, for He's been good to me. I think that takes me back, and it says, okay, Carol, recall the times that you've been waiting on God before, and He's been good to you.
Yes.
Takes me back in that place. So I just wanted to revisit that, because that's in all those 6 verses. David kind of covers the things that I feel forgotten and feel like God's hiding from me, and there's some kind of puzzle I got to figure out before I can understand what God's doing and what He's trying to teach me, and it's breaking my heart, and I'm struggling with my thoughts, and I feel like I'm defeated, and all those things can be a real part of the waiting process. But God has love for us that is unfailing, and that is what we can hold on to in those times of waiting.
And I love the last point, to me, can help me in the struggle. If I look back to other times I've had to wait, what good came from the waiting? One that comes to my mind immediately was infertility. I cried. I begged God for a child. Please, please, Lord, please. I saw all my friends having children, my sister, everybody's having children, and I'm begging God. And now I look back, my kids now are 10 and 12, and I see I couldn't have done it. I could not have done it. Those 3 years, I think we struggled for about 5 years in total, but those first 3 years, we were living in New York City. We didn't have stability. We were wanting to move. I couldn't have done it. But I didn't know that. All I knew was I wanted a baby. But now I look back and I see God was faithful to me even when I didn't know what I needed. Even though I was begging Him to do what I was asking Him to do, He knew what I needed more than what I wanted. And so, sometimes I think it can refresh our souls if we look back to how God has used the waiting in the past. So just exactly like what you mentioned in that psalm.
So if you are in a waiting season, look for the blessing. Look for the goodness. See the goodness of God in the land of the living, and looking for it. Because I think our default is to not look for it, to just say this is an inconvenience and I want to move on to what's next. But God has you here for a reason, so look for His goodness in the middle of it. We would love to hear from you, whatever season you are in that waiting. We'd love to pray for you. You're always welcome to get in touch. You can email us directly, girltalk@thelightfm.org. You can join the Facebook page. We're going to be discussing waiting on the Facebook page. Not waiting on the Facebook page, but we'll be discussing the topic of waiting. We try not to make you wait too long because Facebook yells at us if we do. So get in touch with us however you can, because we love you so much and we want to walk out this journey with you, and we want to be there for you in your waiting. And we'll see you next time we gather around these microphones for the next Girl Talk podcast.